This episode of the Star Wars Battlefront podcast is brought to you by our patrons on Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/Battlefront podcast to help support this show. We're also brought to you by our PayPal supporters, paypal.me/tie-dye-sheep, TYEDYESHEEP.
Pick your class and
earn your battle points.
Because it's time for the Star Wars Battlefront podcast. Welcome to episode 133 of the Star Wars Battlefront podcast. I'm your host, Sage Goodwin, joined by my brother and co-host, Sam Goodwin.
Hello there.
In this episode, we'll be going over Ewok Hunt, what you need to know, how to play, and much more.
Let's get started.
I think Ewok Hunt is the best game mode in Battlefront. And I'm counting Battlefront 2015 as well.
I second that. Yeah, definitely the best game mode so far in Battlefront 2. And yeah, probably better than most of the game modes in Battlefront 2015.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they're adding a hunt game mode is just it's very promising for the game.
Oh yeah, and like all of the developers were watching people's streams of it. They were really active on Twitter when the launch happened. It's just an awesome time to be a Battlefront 2 fan.
Yeah.
I think Battlefront 2's back.
It's back.
It's back.
And better than ever. I think what I love about video games is because like Battlefront 2 launched to mediocre reviews, to huge backlash, and now it's coming back in this huge way. A lot of the game franchises, like PlayStation 3 was the underdog of that era against the 360. The 360 was ultimately the darling of that generation. And then they destroyed it with PS4. Like I love about the game industry is that they have the ability to just keep on improving on it, and like this feels like a completely different game now. You may be asking yourself, what is Ewok Hunt? If you haven't been able to play yet, which is understandable, it launched on a Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
It launched on a Wednesday. Not everybody can play on Wednesdays. Not everybody can play on the weekends. Just got to find time. But if you didn't have a chance to play it yet, Ewok Hunt is a game mode it's a 20-player game mode total that pits 2 Ewoks against 18 stormtroopers. Now, the Ewoks have infinite respawns. But if you die as a stormtrooper, you respawn as an Ewok. And that whole gameplay loop, that whole the idea that you don't get another life, you trying to survive as long as possible until the transport ship gets there, is so much fun. And the fact that Ewoks have a greater sense of view, they've got, like you were saying last episode, they've got like a night vision ability where everything's brighter than the stormtroopers' view is, and they're in third person, while the stormtroopers are in first person and everything is super dark. It's pitch black in the forest if you don't have your flashlight or a torch around you.
Yeah, it's even really dark in the caves which have the torches.
Yes. And the map is set on indoor, as you would assume, being Ewok Hunt. Night indoor. The main objective as a stormtrooper, like I was saying earlier, is to stay alive as long as possible until you can get into the transport.
Which takes like 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So you have to survive for that amount of time.
You're like, 5 to 7 minutes, I can do that easy. Like, it's going to be a piece of cake against only 2 Ewoks. Like, Dice, what are you talking about here? Would you care to enlighten us how difficult it is to survive?
It is hard to survive. And the fact that I believe the Ewoks like spawn right with the stormtroopers. And that means every stormtrooper does not spawn together. They're all spread out. They're all spread out. That means the Ewoks have that moment to get a little bit of reinforcements right off the bat.
Yeah. Another thing I really like is the abilities that they've chosen. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Ewoks have a Wisty, which is a slingshot of
It's a
four
pouch of
spirits.
forest fairies.
Yes.
So they trap their little innocent fairies in a pouch and throw them at
Yes.
unsuspecting victims.
Four spirits are enslaved and thrown at the poor stormtroopers.
So the Ewoks are not an innocent race. They enslave, they kill. To be honest, I think they're more evil than the entire Empire.
The entire Empire.
Yeah.
Really?
In their little bubble, they enslave little innocent fairies. They kill and eat anything that comes into their forest.
Oh, yeah. What you don't see, if the Ewoks win, they actually barbecue your bodies.
You're alive as well. They roast you alive.
Alive, I didn't know that. From my experiences among the Ewok villages and my time there.
Did you go undercover?
I went undercover, which is hard for a guy that's 6'5" to go undercover with creatures that are like.
So your
3
documentary,
feet.
so your documentary is called "Sage and the Family of Ewoks."
Yes.
So you infiltrate their village and watch them from a distance until you become.
Yes. I slowly introduce my presence to them, and they slowly get used to me. And then I am honored as a god like C-3PO was. And they try and feed me all these weird foods, but I keep on telling them no, I'm a vegetarian.
Because basically they're the Baker family.
Yes.
In Resident Evil 7, they try to feed you burnt human flesh and other disgusting delicacies for them.
Oh. You did. Those murder bears are intense, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other abilities that we've gotten off of that.
The Ewok's
the
instinct,
dark
which
tension.
is basically like a scan pulse, but it's not as powerful.
Yes.
But it does stay active for a very long time.
They sniff around smelling the stormtroopers. You can also track their footprints, which is pretty awesome. They have, every time a stormtrooper steps down on the ground, they leave a footprint that you can track and leads you to their position.
And the last ability is, I forgot the name, but it's the Valiant Horn.
Yes, Valiant Horn, which is, it doubles your attack stats. And
I think it's just your melee damage. Not the Wisties.
Not the Wisties. It doubles your melee damage. And there's also interesting a mechanic in there as well. If you sneak up and hit a stormtrooper in the back, it does 40% or 40 damage without any upgrades. If you hit him in the front, it's 20 damage. But the Valiant Horn will double that damage to 80. So if you get them in the back, it's like 2 or 3 shots.
But it's really hard to sneak up on a somewhat skilled player in Ewok Hunt.
Yes. The Stormtrooper, on the other hand, has
just one ability.
One ability. From the offset, it's just one ability, which is the flashlight.
They're equipped with the E11, and then they have the flashlight. But at base, you have to recharge your flashlight. You can't just have it running the entire time. But there are crates that you can find on the ground that contain a DLT-19
and a incendiary imploder, I believe.
And then they also give you infinite flashlight power.
Yes. So be on the lookout for those crates on the map. They're really hard to miss.
You kind of have to get those to stand a chance by yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you just have the 11, the best bet is to stay in the group, which is always what you want to do.
Something that I love that they've accomplished tremendously in the Ewok Hunt is the sense of camaraderie.
Camaraderie?
Yes. You get a buddy, and you're going to stick with that buddy, and you're going to protect your buddy until the end. Like, I had people who were doing emotes, we were jumping up and down saying, follow me, and we owned the Ewoks.
Yeah. Well, I did win what you really want to do is go into the caves as soon as you can.
Yeah, so.
The caves are, so much better in the forest. There's ambient light, which helps a lot, so you don't have to always have your flashlight active. There are also crates in the caves, so you can get those if you start out. And then everyone goes into the cave, so if you go there, you're going to have automatic buddies there.
Yes. That is your fortress of power. That is the place that you need to go, because otherwise you are going to get destroyed. You are naked and afraid in the forest. And they can jump down on top of you. They can go around you. It's just really difficult. And the Ewoks are so hard to see.
So your best bet is to go in close quarters because your weapon's better in there. But then, because it's so much brighter than the caves, that's the reason you want to be in there.
Yes.
I mean, there's also a section of the forest that's on fire, which works as well. I won a game by staying with my team there. So anything that is inherent light, you want to be.
Exactly. Another thing, the Ewok's Wisties ability. So let's talk about that a bit. It is, like we were saying, they enslaved the forest spirits to protect the forest. So it's not super, super bad, like they're protecting their homeland and I don't think they get damaged or anything like that. But I'm not sure. My studies have been inconclusive upon the research in the humanity of the forest spirits.
Yeah, but then again, it's compared to the real world, if I were to enslave human beings and then force them to fight for me, how would you feel about that? Well, anyway, that's the most obnoxious ability, their best ability.
Yes, you want to use. It takes forever to load, but you want to use the Wisties as strategically as you can because it takes so long to regen.
But then again, you die so quickly, and when you die, your abilities are automatically recharged.
Yes.
So it's not really a reload time's not an issue.
So what the Wisties do, it prohibits the stormtrooper from aiming down their gun. They can still fire. A way to get it also damages you. But the way to get away from the Wisties is to roll away from them and then shine your light at them. That's the best strategy.
But when they use a Wistie, they're nearby, obviously.
Yeah,
so that means they're going to be ambushing you. So when you get Wistie, just run away.
Yes.
But then again, you're going to be separated from your group, which is what they're trying to accomplish. So there's no way to win against Wisties unless you're in a cave.
Wisties are deadly. Like I got hit by 5 Wispies but rolled away, so I didn't get the full blast. But they left me at 1 health. And all I got hit with were the Wisties. And
in Ewok Hunt, you regen like heroes. So
yes.
Once you take a certain amount of damage,
you can only
your threshold
regen,
lowers. So if you're at like 60 health because you were like hit by a trap or something, and they Wistie you, you're dead.
Yes. The lowest that I've been health wise, and I think that's the limit of how low you can be, is 51.
I think I was the lowest at 60.
And there are traps hidden around the map, so watch out for those.
Yeah, that's why you need to be in the caves. There's no traps in the caves.
And those traps will hit you down to 100 health, and you will not be able to surpass that anymore. So once you hit 100, that is as high as you'll be able to regen.
Yeah. But once you commit to the cave, you're going to be really far away when the ship comes to pick you up. So that's the downside. If you're in the forest, you'd be really close to it. So if you can survive in the forest properly, I think solo would be the best bet in the forest by yourself.
Yeah.
Because the way their Ewok's instinct work, if you're sprinting or staying still, you are picked up on the radar.
Yes.
So you have to be casually walking.
Just taking a casual stroll through the forest. Taking in the sights of the Ewok villages and the indigenous creatures.
A good way to scout out an area for you next round is to be an Ewok and check the surroundings because you have night vision.
Yeah, so you can kind of get familiar with it. And the way Ewoks are chosen at the beginning of the match is randomly. So at the beginning, and once everyone's in, it will choose which 2 people will become the Ewok.
It chooses who will stay and who will go.
Yes. And they spawn in the trees, and it's basically like a plague game mode. You just keep on killing them until your team gets bigger and bigger, and as the stormtroopers, you just keep on trying to survive.
Yeah, and it gets really terrifying late in the game.
Yes.
Like you have 5 players left. There's literally hordes of Ewoks running towards you. I think there was 5 running at me at once, and I made the mistake of trying to shoot them. I just needed to run. And then at the very end, when you're trying to get to your transport, you really have to turn your flashlight off to run, or else they'd see you.
Uh-huh.
So you're running blindly in the forest.
It's so much fun and so terrifying. Like, those little guys jump in your face, and it is like your only instinct is to fire randomly, like, get away from me. It is crazy how much fun and terrifying it is.
Yeah, and the Ewoks have bases that they can go into and transport themselves to the trees.
Yes.
So you need to watch out if you're under the village, because they can jump down at you and drive their spear in you.
And that's a one-shot kill. So if you are an Ewok and you have a stormtrooper in your sight, jump off of the Ewok huts and skewer them like a shish kebab.
And right off the bat is the best time to do it. I wasn't even the Ewok for 5 seconds when I skewered someone from the trees.
And it's so rewarding, too, since it's really hard to hit that, to land a skewer, but it's so satisfying. Like, yes, I did it. I did it. Now let's go over our our impressions of the game overall. Like, how does this match up to the other game modes? Like we said before, this is our favorite game mode that they've added in DICE's Battlefronts.
But that could all change.
Yes, that could change, because these limited time game modes are... Everyone has been really unique and super fun. We played, 5 to 8 hours each? Maybe? 5 hours each?
Of Ewok Hunt?
Uh-huh.
I like to say I played like 3 hours. So about 6 hours between us.
Yes, and I still want to play.
Yeah. It's best played in the dark of a room.
Yes.
Because it's kind of hard to see during the day.
Get in a dark room, put some headphones on, and get ready to wet your pants. I love how they've switched up your expectations for game mode in Battlefront. I don't think they could have done this in a Battlefront 2015.
Yeah.
I think they didn't have the infrastructure set for that. But now that they've got this broader scope for Battlefront 2, they're able to do different things, and it's refreshing to see such a new idea added to Battlefront 2.
Yeah, and it just opens a bunch of possibilities, because this game mode, it wasn't exactly like it, but there was an Ewok hunt in Battlefront 2, the original.
Yes.
So maybe we can be seeing more hunts in the future, like Wampa.
I would love to see Wampas.
Oh, yeah. Jawas. I mean, the possibilities are endless with hunts. I mean, they could just make limited time game modes with just hunt throughout the entirety of the game and have enough content.
But like switching it up to where maybe it's like a blizzard outside on Hoth, and as the Wampas you can see through the blizzard, but as the stormtroopers you kind of have to like put your arm up in the air. Yeah,
maybe you're in the base and the Wampas are trying to infiltrate the base.
I would love to see that kind of game mode added. I think what this game mode does really well is the gameplay loop, which is what the game forces you to do over and over again. And I think it does it really well, and it's not super repetitive, because you have the strategies that you can do, but sometimes those don't work. Sometimes the two Ewoks are super good, so all of your strategies fall apart.
Yeah. The game mode is way more balanced than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. Usually with a game mode like this, where it's a new idea, there are imbalances in the gameplay.
But the Ewoks are more powerful, just because the Wisties.
Mm-hmm. Well, they should be, since it starts at 2.
True. But the thing is that there's lackluster players that get killed easily,
mm-hmm.
and there's somehow get really good when they play Ewoks. I think it's good at where it is. It all depends in the first 2 minutes is what really decides the game. Because if you lose a lot of stormtroopers,
and that first 2 minutes, you're done for.
There was a game where we had 14 players left and we won the game.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing. We had like 14 stormtroopers at the drop point waiting for Ewoks to come.
Yes, just preparing. Get your bombs and your weapons ready.
But then the Wisties came.
Then everything changed when Fire Nation attacked.
It's so terrifying too when you hear the horn, but you don't know where it's coming from.
It's so funny to be an Ewok and watch these stormtroopers look around frantically.
Yes.
When you can see everything.
My favorite thing to do as the Ewoks is to find a group of them, use my horn, and then pick them off one by one. I got a 3-kill streak just by picking them off one by one, and by the end, the one guy looked around and then just ran the other way.
And a good strategy for playing the Ewoks is to camp in the caves and wait for stormtroopers to come.
Mm-hmm. That way you can kind of claim it before they get there.
But the smarter players do stay in the caves, and it's really hard late in game to get through. But yeah. So the Ewoks are stronger in the forest, and the map is surprisingly giant.
Yeah, it's huge, or at least it feels huge. One of the things that I don't like, there are 3 things that I find a little annoying. One is the being forced in first person as the stormtroopers and then switching to third person as the Ewoks. That kind of messes me up.
Yeah, but the stormtroopers have to be in first person.
Why is that?
Just to make the horror element more powerful, so you feel limited in your view.
Yeah, but then once you switch over from the Ewok to the stormtrooper, me as a player, I feel claustrophobic, like a little too.
But then again, you're kind of supposed to feel that way.
Yeah, I guess so. Other 2 things. One is I don't really like how a lot of the times it spawns me at the edge of the map.
Yeah, you can get some really unlucky spawns, because you really want to be near the caves.
It spawns me by the edge, and by the edge there's a lot of obstacles, which leads into my third thing, is a lot of the times it's hard to traverse the terrain. Like, I will get stuck as the Ewok, both the Ewok and the stormtroopers.
The terrain is buggy like Scarif was in Battlefront 2015.
You get stuck on tiny rocks, you get stuck into trees, things that are just falling over everywhere.
My main problem with the game are Wisties and your health regen.
They
should have packs that you can get as the stormtroopers to heal yourself.
That could be cool.
Like maybe they have supply drops every little once in a while. Like when the ship comes over, it could drop little health packs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe back to bombs could be in the cases, like just one back to bomb in your middle star card.
That could be cool. This game mode has opened me up to many new ideas for the future of Battlefront 2. What if with Season 2 we get a super unique game mode instead of just a map for Galactic Assault?
Yeah, we want more variety in the game.
And something that Dennis Brunval responded to on Twitter regarding this issue of limited time game modes that are super fun, but again, are limited time. What happens to those in the future? And he responded to saying, if players like Ewok Hunt, it will stay.
Yeah, kind of like what they did with the rocket or launch. What is it?
Jump Pack Cargo.
Yeah, Jump Pack Cargo. They brought it back for a little time, but it wasn't as popular as Ewok Hunt.
Yeah,
because frankly, it's not as good as Ewok Hunt.
Mm-hmm. The second iteration of Jump Pack Cargo was not. It wasn't a good choice to have it on Bespin. The map didn't suit the style of gameplay that Jump Pack Cargo needs.
And hopefully, through like near the end of Battlefront 2, we'll have like a whole hunt loop, because maybe we'll have a bunch of different hunts that were added as limited time game modes.
Hopefully, I'd love to see like a playlist.
That's my dream, because I like hunt more than any heroes or villains game modes.
Yeah, and this is coming from the guy who lives for heroes versus villains in Battlefront.
Because hunt is amazing. I don't really like playing as the Ewoks. I'm more of a stormtrooper kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. Just because it's more strategic.
Yeah, it's harder with the stormtroopers.
Yeah, but they're both fun. Really look forward to what they have to see, what we have to look forward to in the future. I think they just need a little tweaking on the map, kind of set up with the obstacles in the way and getting stuck on that. And other than that, I think like balancing is good. Ewoks have 80 health while the stormtroopers have 200. I think that's a good balance. And the damage ratio for the Ewoks to the stormtroopers is balanced as well. But I think that's about it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Star Wars Battlefront podcast. We appreciate it so much. Anytime you reach out on Twitter, through email. Daniel sent an amazing email full of awesome little tidbits about his gameplay experiences, what he likes about Battlefront 2, what he doesn't like about Battlefront 2. I love the community that we've built around the podcast and the community in general, how positive it's been. When I've been who I've been interacting with has been super positive, and I really appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter at Swbp Podcast. You can support us by following us, spreading the word, or through Patreon, patreon.com/Battlefront Podcast, PayPal, paypal.me/TieDyeSheep, TYEDYESHEEP, Utini, utini.com/Battlefront, and use the code SWB Podcast to get $5 off. Or something that you can do that helps us out tremendously is leaving us a review on iTunes, and that's completely free, and it helps us so much. Really appreciate the feedback there and the positivity. We have a YouTube channel,
youtube.com/the Star Wars Battlefront Podcast,
and you can reach us on email,
battlefrontpodcast@gmail.com.
As always,
thanks for listening.
may the Force be with you.